everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at 5 games here, giving a short overview and review of each one. Mostly good here, so let's jump right into it. Perfect Numbers is a small little card game in which you are drafting cards in groups of 1, 2, or 3, trying to put the cards in order to get the perfect number. Let me show you. In this game, there's going to be a market of cards that are put up in groups 3, 2, 2, and 1. And that market's going to go up each round. Players are going to start with some cards in front of them. And on your turn, you take a group of cards. You take the group of 3, 2, 2, or 1. So if I take, for example, this group here, the 5 is green, so I put it on the top of my green card because it's higher. The 3, unfortunately, if I put that on my 5, it's lower. And so I need to discard 3 cards from this pile, which would be all of them. So you have to be careful what cards you're taking. What you're trying to do is get the perfect number. When you take cards, you put them on from smallest to highest, which could cause some things to bust. But let's say, for example, I had just a 5, and these cards were out here. I will take this group and put the 2 here. I now have the perfect number. The top card here equals the number of cards in the group, which is 2. So I'll take these and score them. If there had been a 3 here, I could then put the 4 there and score that. It's the perfect number. And in fact, if you score a group of 5, 6, or 7, you'll draw bonus cards from the deck and add them because it's that much harder to do. And sometimes you'll play a card in yourself to subtract cards from a pile so that you can then get a perfect number on that pile. If you can't play a card, and let's say it's going to make you can replace an entire group with a card, or you can even play a card on an opponent, but only if it helps that opponent's pile. There's some special cards in the deck. There are wild cards that can go anywhere. This one lets you steal a card from someone else, add it to yours. This lets you move a card from one spot to another. And so you're going to be manipulating things and keep going till you go through the deck, and whoever has the most points is the winner. The problem with Perfect Number, and I don't think this is a bad game, but the problem with Perfect Number is, well, it just feels a little clunky. It is a difficult game to explain to people. So the company who makes this game, Eco-Friendly Games, or Jolly Dutch, I'm sorry, it is an eco-friendly game from Jolly Dutch. They tend to make games that are, sort of the game that anyone can play. And this is kind of that way. You look at the cards and everything. But explaining what the special cards do, explaining how the perfect card number works, and how you want to put cards down and then you make it go down a little bit so that you can come back up and get that number, is just a little more complexity, I think, than most people can handle. And for gamers who would like the extra complexity, I feel like the game has too little to offer to them. So I'm giving this one a 6. I don't know that it's a bad. There's a lot of things I like about it. I like the production. I like the look of it, the numbers, the cards. I do think that it would be easier if they just told you what the card did on it rather than have a symbol, which I don't think is particularly clear. But overall, it's kind of neat, but it's also weird and esoteric, so I don't know how often I would get this one to the table. That's Perfect Numbers. Energy Apex. This is a very colorful game, but you wouldn't know it from the box because, well, it looks pretty boring, honestly. So in this game, something, 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 blah, 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 energy for the theme. But what this is you're drafting cards from this middle, and you're trying to manipulate a market to get these cards to be the value that you want. Now, if this sounds like a complex stock market game, it's not. It's very, very simple. Let me show you. In this game, you're going to put these 8 different energy colors around here. Each of these colors matches a card. You can also play with a special power activated for each of them. You can use all of them, some of them, none of them. I'm showing you none of them. This is the very basic game. You're going to take cards and put 6 cards face up in a pile, randomly shuffled around. And then one person goes first. And on your turn, you're simply just going to take a card from one of the sections, and then you'll put a token on that section to show that that market's closed, so the next player can pick any card except from that section. And then you just keep going back and forth. When one section is completely gone, the game is going to end. You're then going to turn this hexagon here in the middle, or this octagon, where the pink part is pointing towards the empty one. And then every card is going to score based on the color. So the one that the pink one is pointing at, every card of that color, so in this case the black, is going to score the first number. The ones where the orange are pointing will score the second number, and the ones where the greens are pointing will score the third number. Now black in this case they get the highest points on their third number, but every other color other than black usually gets points on the highest, although you can see purple is more consistent. There's also what's called competitive scoring, where you, instead of scoring the points on each of your cards, you score the points on the person who has the most cards other than you. It's called competitive scoring. And like I said, there are things here where when you go to these spots, it will let you move this. Sometimes it will let you shuffle the cards, take the bottom card instead of the top card of a stack. They have different things that each one does. And then whoever has the most points is the winner. Now, at the beginning, I said the game was simple, and that is true, but remember, you can turn over those tiles and have some special abilities out there. Well, there's only a few of those special abilities that are very interesting. The rest add a bit of randomness to the game to some degree, but also add some just chaos and, okay, this goes here and that. I would just turn over 3 or 4 of them, and there's only specific ones that I would do. I like some of the special abilities. I like one of them that lets you, that lets you move, take a tile from a different spot when you go there, whatever it might be, or pick one that's underneath. Those are kind of cool. The basic part of this game, though, is, hey, I'm taking these energy cards, and at the end, I want to take them so that this thing manipulates here. I'm looking and saying, okay, this stack is getting smaller, so because that stack's getting smaller, it's probably going to go there, which will make, green cards worthless. I better not collect any green cards. Or the gray cards, I want them to be at level 1. And I like that a lot. This game has been done before in other ways. The most famous is a game by Reiner Knizia, which has many different names, like Loco or Botswana, and it does the same thing. You're putting cards out and then collecting animals or whatever it might be, and then they're worth the points at the end of the game. This one's a little more complex than that, but I think it loses a little bit in the complexity, but it's still very enjoyable. I give this one a 7 out of 10. I find it that it's quick, it's fast, it's fun. It goes to a bigger group of people. Right now, this goes up to 5 people. I wish there was like a 6th player that could be added to it, but I think that overall, it works pretty easily and fun. Energy Apex. Ticket to Ride Berlin. So this is the next in a series of small box Ticket to Ride games. There's about 10 of the big ones, and this is the 4th of the small ones. We already have, or maybe this is the 5th. There's a lot of these out there. So the small ones, this is Ticket to Ride in 15 minutes. And the last one of these that I played, the Netherlands, I believe, I was getting a little bored with the idea because they all felt the same. But you may never played this before, so let me show you how it works. Everyone's going to start with 2 of these transportation cards, which are going to show you different colors, or the bicycle, which is wild. And you'll also draw 2 of these tickets, which you can keep. You have to keep one, but you can keep both of them. They're going to show you spots on the board that you need to connect on. Players are also going to start with some subway cars and then a bunch of trolleys. And on your turn, you have 3 actions. One of them, you can draw 2 cards, unless you draw a wild. If you draw a wild, that's the only card you get. Otherwise, you can draw 2. You can take them from the face-up cards, which are immediately replaced, or you can take them off the top of the deck, in which case, if you get a trolley card, you're lucky. The other thing you do is you can discard cards to build a route on the board. So I could pay these 2 orange cards, the bicycle being wild, to put 2 trolleys here, or I could discard 2 orange cards to put 1 subway card here because it costs 2 orange cards. So subways cost a certain amount of cards, but you only put 1 out, and that will connect these 2 cities. While if you put out the trolley cards, you'll need to place that many trolleys here, and you'll have to pay that many cards. If it's gray, you can put out anything. The third thing you can do in your turn is you can draw more tickets. You always have to keep at least 1 when you draw them, and then you discard the ones you don't want to keep. The game will end when someone is down to 1 or less vehicles. Doesn't matter what type they are. At that point, players are going to score points. You'll have score points during the game for your cars that you put out. 1, 2, 4, or 7 for each of the lengths that you put out on the board. And then have you connected your tickets. If you've connected your tickets, you get points for connecting them. If you haven't, you lose points for not connecting them. And the points are on the card. You can see their varying amounts. Whoever has the most points is the winner. This Ticket to Ride Berlin is not necessarily one of my favorites in this series, but it definitely has restored my enjoyment of it. I'm giving this one a 7.5. I particularly like the fact that the subways and the trolley cards are different. So you're sitting there trying to think how to connect your routes, but you only have 1 of these, and you only have a few of the subway cars, but they can connect a whole lot more of the board per each one than the little trolley cars can. So it's still really just a small Ticket to Ride. There's not a ton of complexity to this game. Very easy to get done. But I think that the extra rule is not particularly egregious, and it's interesting to see how the map connects together. So this is a lot of fun. I also like the long board. It just has a cool look to it, fast and fun, and I think they've got their mojo back with these small ones. So that's Ticket to Ride Berlin. Orion Duel, which comes with this dumb sleeve. Orion Duel is a, shockingly, 2-player game in which you are putting out parts of a galaxy, blah, 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 blah. It's an abstract game, and you're trying to connect 2 sides of the board or connect some wormholes or not connect black holes. What does that mean? Take a look. In this game, one person is going to be playing the blue player, so they're going to have a bunch of tiles here that most of them have 2 blue and 1 orange. They have 1 of each of these. And over here, the orange has the reciprocal with orange and blue. You're going to put some galaxies and black holes on the board, and they just have to be 2 spaces away from each other and 1 space away from the other type. And on your turn, you can take any tile, and basically you can place any tile anywhere. Now, if you want to place a tile, so let's say orange wants to place a tile on top of a galaxy or black hole, you can do that, but you have to connect to a color, an unbroken color line that you already have out there. And so players are going to take turns doing this, and what they are trying to do is one of 3 things. If you make an unbroken line from one side of the board, showing a symbol, to the other side of your color. So let's say blue manages to do this here and this here. See, blue all the way across. That would make blue win. Or if you have managed to get these galaxies, so you have these galaxies on your color and you have 4 of them on an unbroken line somewhere, you win. Or if you get your opponent on 3 black holes that are connected, then you win. And that's the game. You just go back and forth until someone wins through one of those 3 ways. The quality of this game is really well done. It's a cool cover, but the orange and the blue tiles, they look good. They're thick tiles. The little wooden components. I just really think this is an excellent looking abstract game. And that's important because I think abstract strategy games should feel like a classic game. This does feel like one of those classic games. I enjoy this one a lot. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Abstract games only have so many things in them, and connecting one side of the board to the other has been done several times. So that's part of this one. Also, playing a piece that is your color and your opponent's color has been done before. So combining these 2, I think, works, but what makes this one stand out is the wormholes and the black holes. I like that a lot, or the galaxies and the black holes. Because you're sitting there and you're trying to, there's 3 different victory conditions, which is something I like a lot. And making your opponent connect the black holes, I'm like, ooh, I got to stop you from making me collect the black holes. But you're also trying to collect the wormholes. Oh, you're also trying to connect this side of the board to that side of the board. There's different things, and you only have limited pieces. And the game has some rules about if you end in a tie. I've never had that happen because it seems like someone's going to win one of those 3 ways. It's not particularly long of a game. It says 25 minutes on it, but it has a good in-depth feel to it, and it also feels nice and open. I can put my pieces anywhere as I'm starting out the game. But after that, it starts clogging up as I'm thinking where I put them. And the rule about not sticking your piece under something unless you already have some colors connected is a good one, because otherwise you would just immediately start sticking your opponent's pieces under black holes and then connect them. And there's just some really interesting ideas in here. So that's Orion Duel. Check it out. Waterfall Park is a remake of an older game called Chinatown. Chinatown is a game it's considered a classic. And here they've completely rethemed it into building an amusement park, a waterfall park, which looks really, really cool. The theme isn't necessarily super strong. You're building this park, but it doesn't really matter what you're building. But I still like this redone theme and the redone components of it. It's a lot more interesting to me than Chinatown. Waterfall Park is a negotiation game through and through. Let me show you. So this is Waterfall Park. You see there's this beautiful board here, and there are numbered spots from 1 to 81. Each player is going to get a bunch of tokens of their color. And the game's going to take place over 4 rounds. And in each round, you'll see there's a certain number of cards that are going to be dealt to players where they'll discard 2. And then after that, they're going to get a certain number of attraction tiles. Once everyone has discarded their cards at the beginning of the game, players are going to put out these tokens on the different spots on the board to show that you control it. So here I have, for example, 23 and 22, which is pretty nice. And there's little holes in the board so that these pieces, once you put them in, will stay there. I also have 14, which is pretty good. That's close to the other ones. And then I have 59, which is way over here. And I have 61. And other players can be placing their markers on the board too. Then you'll get the attraction tiles handed out to you. And these attraction tiles are going to be different types. Like here you see movies. Here I see the little water slides. Here is a nice place to hang out. Here's a little fun house. And so you get these tiles, and then at that point, you've complete open negotiations. And you can trade anything for anything practically. So let's say, for example, Pink has a location here, and I might say, hey, Pink, I'll give you 59 if you give me 24. Okay, that's an easy trade to do. But trades can get even more complicated because you can trade any of your attraction tiles. You can also throw money, points, which they are basically into the deal. And so you're doing all sorts of things. The problem is, once you put a location on the board, so if I put a movie theater location into this spot, that's stuck there. I can still trade it away to somebody else if I want to, but it's stuck there. And what I'm trying to do is trying to build these, because once everyone's done trading, everything is going to provide income. Now, income up here near the top of the board, you're going to see for connected attractions. Doesn't matter really how they're connected, as long as they're connected. If it's complete, so for example, this water slide here requires 5 tiles to be complete. If I have all 5 tiles, I'll get 12. But if I only have 3 of the 5 tiles, I'll get 5. So you can see for a complete attraction of 3, 4, and 5, you'll get 6, 9, or 12. And for an incomplete, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, you get 1, 3, 5, or 7. Everyone gets their income, and you start another phase. After the end of the game, you're going to see who has the most money, and that person is the winner. I said at the beginning of this that Waterfall Park is a negotiation game, and you need to know that going in, because if you do not like negotiating with other people, you will hate this game. That's all this game is. You pick your stuff at the beginning. You're never going to, unless you get super lucky, draft tiles where you'll be able to build something. So you're going to be forced to trade with other people. And is an uneven trade worth it? I'll trade you 2 properties for 1. I'll trade you this property and this tile for 5 gold and this. And knowing the value of it is going to be tough. And I think some people are going to struggle with that part of this game. I think some people are going to struggle with, okay, how much is everything worth? And you're going to have to come down to it. I give this game an 8 out of 10. I really enjoy it. I think it has streamlined some of the things from Chinatown, not just in how it looks, but also in rules. But it's very, very simple. If I make a deal with somebody, and as soon as we exchange stuff, it's done. But up to that point, everything's binding. I can be like, on next turn, if I draw a roller coaster tile, it's going to you. I draw one, and I'm like, change my mind. Now, that's not going to really do you well or endear you to your fellow players. But there's a lot going on. And honestly, in this game, the best negotiator is going to win. And so it can be really tough. You want everything out there. You want to connect your pieces. You want the tiles that are drawn. There's a smidge of luck, obviously, in where you get tiles. If someone's building a big section and I get the 2 tiles that go right in there, that's really good for me. I have a lot of negotiation power. Or if I need some more nightclub tiles and I draw them, well, yay for me. But overall, this is a game that is only 4 rounds and it does not overstay its welcome. The box here says 45 minutes. I think that's pretty accurate, although I can see it going to an hour. But that's both, that doesn't seem too long, but it will feel long when you're playing this sense, because it's very much, you are involved every moment of this game. So very much a fun one, a nice reprint. That's Waterfall Park. And there you go, folks. Waterfall Park, Orion Duel, Ticket to Ride, Energy Apex, and Perfect Numbers. Okay, but the other 4 I enjoy a lot, so those are 5 games. Check them out. If you'd like to see more of these short reviews by themselves, check out our sister channel, Dice Tower Encore, where we just put up bunches and bunches of small reviews. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you're watching the Dice Tower.